Yeah, in real life, the Narva River here is right on the border of Russia. So everything east of the river is Russia. And so it could just be like this American came flying across the bridge somehow, and the Russians are like, you don't do that, and they're retaliating for it.
Meanwhile, there's a widely distributed attack going on here. The transport that we saw at the beginning of the mission has dropped off 2 squads up here. There's a, wow, look at this. There's a U.S. Logi running straight to him, going straight up the highway. He's going to run into 2 squads right here in this farm. These Logis are running like they're running some sort of like, oh my god, they're engaging.
The enemy doesn't have trans. No, it was a Logi.
And
So the Logis are running recon.
Yeah, that's a ballsy move. Oh,
I guess
and Top Bun accidentally gets a TK there. Yee.
It looks like there's a distance firefight going on Narva Bridge right next to Toll.
Yeah, that was Storm's plan, was to set up far across the toll bridge and just kind of pick them off from a distance.
Yeah, half of a squad is pushed out in the field here, and they're getting engaged from superior positions, plus the pillbox right there.
And while this has been going on, this Russian squad in the south are just across both of the bridges, and they're still just hiking away down the middle of the rail yard. This American buddy team in the village might actually see them. So it'll be interesting to see if they actually get captured. So you can see the Russians in blue walking by. There's 2 Americans in the village that are posted up here. I think they're up here hunting an MTLB. But there's no MTLB around for them to shoot at, and I don't think they'll hear the Russians walk by. It's kind of an unfortunate set of events. Uh-oh, Stormfront, the commander of the Russian, might accidentally run into this American buddy team. This is Stormfront right here with his beautiful radio pack on. Yeah, so Stormfront and Wicked here are running right in. I think they're going to run right past this American buddy team. Oh, and Wicked's saying, I'm going to grab a building, this 2-story building. He's going to run right in there and be like, oh.
Should be aware of the copy. It's fine.
Oh, the Russians have no idea. They have no idea. I think the Americans can hear them, because they're walking around a lot outside. Yeah, the Americans think there's something up, but the Russians are just
There's one U.S. watching the stair.
Oh, Stormfront calls it out. He says someone is in the building.
Yeah. If command goes down, I want
I'll go first.
Wicked calls out he's going in.
Yeah, Stormfront's giving out some last-minute commands here in case he dies.
Then I want for to move.
Oh, and the first Russian's going in. Wicked.
Both of the U.S. now know he's here.
Oh, this could be very unfortunate for the Russians if they lose their command.
Wicked!
Oh!
Wicked with the complete...
Wicked gets hit, though, but he's a medic, so he's able to heal up.
Here
the
comes
other
the
American's
second guy.
coming down.
They hear him upstairs.
Oh, and the American mortars are active.
Here comes the grenade.
Probably hunt
He throws it
the
down.
Russians here.
Stormfront walks into the hallway where the grenade goes off.
No!
A blind grenade
Russian
throw.
Casualty of the entire game.
Oh,
and the Americans have started mortaring the building. Oh my gosh. It's Crispy. Yeah, it's Crispy is basically going, oh my god, don't throw the mortars at me. Stop it. Like in real life, I would not want to be in this house right now for any reason.
Copy, there's contacts on my position right now. They're mortaring me.
Copy that.
that.
I'm taking
I'm
over
sending
command.
one buddy team over to you guys.
Yeah, that's
Alright, boys.
very unfortunate. The first person down for the
There's
Russians
still
is their
people there, what are we
commander.
Just hold
That's
there.
just sad.
Push.
The
Hey,
timing
guys,
of that
no
was
contacts
just
on,
brutal, man. Just
It was
Stormfront
totally
walks into the
comical.
hallway
First
Five
or
actual?
second floor.
right at the wrong time.
Yeah, top floor. I saw
Copy
one
that.
guy. They have a ladder.
How many?
I saw one, but they have a ladder pushing up to one of the south of the Burns. You see that huge white tower? South of
Meanwhile, a
that, they have
sizable Russian force up here in the
Minus contact on
north,
standby. We're pushing over to squad 5 lead.
2 squads worth plus an MTLB are slowly pushing into this village, which is north of the castle. There is a
This,
U.S. fire
zone over
team
here.
in a couple of buildings.
Five.
Looks like they're
you're
in
gonna- you can
ambush
try to push,
positions.
Actually, 5, stay where you're at right now.
The
Give me
Russian
that rep.
haven't really committed yet,
Three's
though.
in safe. We got.
Yeah, the
Not to-
Russian
not to
plan
this
kind of
side of the
relied
castle.
on
I'm regrouping
setting
squad
up to the
5 lead.
north and kind of engaging
that.
heavily up there.
Squad
And this
1 and 2, what's your
slower
rep?
tactic on the Russian team is allowing the Americans to build up quite a
this is
few
one we got
defenses
on
inside of the
contacts on the
fob
roof.
area at the castle proper.
that.
And kind of the more
Are
defenses
any of
you
able
get
to
here
push
at the
a little bit
castle,
closer to start
the
giving
Top
little
one
easier
goes
it is to
down.
defend it.
so that I can replace
One
squad
U.S. soldier in a
Yeah,
window
yeah,
pots,
yeah.
This is
spots
3,
him
we're
out
gonna be suppressing
and
the roof.
destroys him from about
Seabass,
probably
you're
about
wrong.
50 meters.
Copy that.
Oh, who just went down?
Top bun.
Squad leaders, let me know once you
Oh.
finish out. I'll move my squad out.
And the MTLB pushes the hill where Top Bun died.
Tower.
Oh, and then Jay Remick here, one of the U.S. squad leads, just engaged those guys on the east side of the river, just doing a couple of pot shots at them.
Meanwhile, an entire
I got
squad
back on
is
contact.
heading
There might be
down
contacts east of my
the
floor,
road
on the rocks.
towards Hero,
Big mate. Oh, we're taking contacts south.
and a U.S.
Bird, you're taking contact south?
Yeah,
U.S. soldier opens up.
they're close. Two, if you can, flank 'em.
Hero adds some fire, and here we go. They're trying to push into these buildings with an MTLB in support.
Let me lodge you down.
Russia taking their time, though.
Good work.
Yeah, being very slow and methodical as they go along here.
Fire on Fortress. Press it.
But Stormfront's plan overall seems to be working. I see a lot of American eyes looking north, or just right at the entrance to the castle where they're supposed to be set up. It looks, and I think his plan kind of revolved on them pulling off whatever reinforcements are set up to hold that logi.
Ooh, Seabass gets a kill through some wood right here, and there goes Hero. Now it looks like the only one over here is Liberal Pundit, who's wounded and bandaging.
Alright, second lodge,
But
somewhere near church, it's hurt.
there's a sizable Russian force that knows pretty much she's in this building.
Five, how you doing? Currently holding. They might have just been a
Some more Russian casualties as the force that was on the rocks just north of the castle is probably redirected and shooting this way. Now they hear that
good one.
they hear the MTLB rolling around here every so
How you
often.
doing?
Did the U.S. lose their lodges?
We're doing alright. We're taking
Because I don't see them anywhere on the map.
Trying to figure that out.
I wonder if they got ditched.
I think it's from the,
Or they're taking a really long route. U.S. mortars go out, probably aimed at these Russians in the north. Hopefully we'll see those impacts here in a moment. It's always hard when the first couple of mortars go out to figure out where they're going to go.
They're coming down up north.
Oh, they're going to push those Russians in. That's a very effective set of mortars there. So it doesn't kill any of the Russians, but it makes them all run further south, deeper into the American line.
Liberal Pundit's still alone in this building, as the Russians have completely pushed past him at this point. Goose
And, well,
looks like
this
he
is-
wants to...
You hold?
No, maybe not.
Yeah, I've only got a fire
While this has been going on, this Russian squad, Squad 4, has made it all the way over to the gas station, and there's still this buddy team overlooking the Waji, is kind of babysitting it. We actually have Fulcrum. Fulcrum's being brave. He's running out there. He's running out there to get the truck. And I don't think, who is this, Uncle he's going to get Fulcrum, and Fulcrum is hit and on fire. That truck is toast. I don't think Fulcrum's going to survive with that Logi.
Is it going to burn up and pop?
Yeah, I think the Logi's going to burn up and pop over here, which will be very unfortunate for the Russians.
Fulcrum gets out. He's looking up in the air for some reason.
Yeah,
there
goes the Russian Logi. That's unfortunate. I honestly think that the best way to play this operation is to just let the Russians get those mortars and just let the barrage back and forth happen and just outplay them that way.
Get rid of some of this enemy contact. Copy. 1 and 2 continue to try to move on Pepper. 3 and 5 try to maneuver as best as you can.
And that was Uncle Fulcrum and the silliest goose. Those were the two U.S. that were responsible for that Logi snipe. Uncle Fucker looks like he was the lat.
Copy.
And they're running back towards the castle. Mission done. Feather in their cap. And, there's a Russian squad right over here. If they run onto this road, that could be bad for them. The northern Russians, there's about a squad of them left, it looks like. Plus that MTLB still.
So I found the one of the U.S. Logi trucks got destroyed on this bridge over by the radio station. I don't see the other one. I think it may have been left behind at the main. Because I have a Noble 6 here who I saw driving one earlier, just hoofing it, trying to run and hide from the MTLB and all of the Russians near him. And I hope he makes it back. That would be pretty impressive if he made it all the way back to the American FOB.
You guys taking contacts from my
the Russian MTLB from the north has pushed all the way down to the rocks. Looks like US have all pulled back their northern forest to the castle. So there's probably about 2 squads of folks running around the castle right now, not knowing what to do. Maybe more.
And the U.S. just throws smokes just on the rocks to the north of them. I'm not sure why they would put the smokes there. This gives the Russians a chance to push up and get in position real quick here.
I wonder if U.S. is being greedy and they're pushing a lat team up. Although someone is running across the road here. It gives enough cover for Tarkus to get back across. So they save 1 U.S. soldier. And everyone is a little standoff here in the village across the road. There's a fire team. This was the fire team that took the Logi down. They have complete surprise on an MTLB, maybe even more here. They're running up behind the MTLB.
Do they have any more lats left? Or I think
I don't think they have any more lats now.
Yeah, I think Uncle Conquer there does not
Goose,
have. Oh, and he goes
Goose
down.
tags Uncle Conquer.
Doesn't matter.
And
his buddy is just like, I'm out of here.
Goose is got a tree between him and the shots.
So what, this is a duel between Goose and the silliest Goose?
Which one can actually hit something? So far, we've seen Goose being able to hit something. And runs across the road with the MTLB. Oh, the MTLB.
Those are some very accurate mortars. They hit right where the MTLB was. It's very hard to hit moving vehicles with those mortars. Oh, that is a good hit.
That had to have hit. The MTLB is maybe trying to reposition now. The mortars are just spamming this entire area. Looks like he links back up close to a squad lead. Meanwhile, US, they have climbed the buildings, all the climbing buildings they can. Starting to add some mortars over here. I think that's an MMG. Pinning these Russians in this building.
And while that's going on, the team in the east has just been harassing the American position.
2 lead just went down.
Copy. Yeah, he was on the Russell. He probably died by mortars. Miyamoto, is that right?
Negative. We got contacts in the rocks with us. They're here. Close to me.
Copy.
There's still more U.S. soldiers behind this northern Russian force. I
Yeah,
think
the
this
Russians
is
are
the
calling
pundit.
it out as mixed contact over there.
No, Noble 6 and Silius Goose.
Get my guys back so we can just look at these rocks.
Oh, there goes Seabass. Silius Goose takes down Seabass. That was a brutal one tap. Wish I could have caught it on camera for you guys. It just happened so fast. Just like that.
Yeah, and Iron Tyrant and his guys who are supposed to get that Logi have pushed through the train depot area. Looks like they lost 2 as they were trying to cross the road here. And they're pushing in and clearing out these apartments near the west side of the castle.
Meanwhile, Silius Goose just taking his time. Noble 6 is on his right flank. They're pushing through looking for stragglers.
Oh, they may be able to clear out a lot of them here. And they just call them back in and just say, hey, mortars, I need you to hit this building in front of me. It can be very effective just to walk them around.
He's looking towards where the MTLB is.
Squad 1 ready to fix target when Squad 4 is ready to move in. Over.
The MTLB rocking up and down the rocks over here.
I think the MTLB is trying to get good sightline onto the castle. It's very difficult with the rocks to actually get the gun in a really good spot.
Contact on the roof, the red building. Oh shit, no, that's 3D. Fuck. There's some tree moving right.
Squad 4 be advised contacts.
I think I saw.
We seem to
The
be kind of at a
MTLB looks like the driver is calling out contacts that the gunner is missing. A little
that's
bit of,
probably more mortars go out. I bet those are aimed right at the MTLB.
And
And
the
Silent
MTLB
himself,
moving.
the commander of the Americans, is running those mortars.
It only moves about 10 meters.
Oh, those are dead on.
1 and 2 has to look at.
So it looks like
MTLB
right now-
moves out.
So it looks like right now the Russian force is kind of stalled out. And they're just focused on kind of clearing out the straggling Americans outside the walls. And are just kind of clearing out as they can. It's a very pragmatic approach, but there's still a lot of Americans in the castle itself, and they can't really take them out from a distance.
But besides that, they might see you from castle. I don't know what kind of eyes they got on you.
Well, right now it's still even-ish. 13 Russian kills for US has 15 kills. So there's only really 2, maybe 2 or 3 difference between the numbers of folks on these teams that are still alive right now. A lot can happen.
Yeah, more American mortars go out.
This northern MTLB moves around towards the river road.
Yeah, if you're willing to accept that risk, if you can put it on the south end, you can support all of us.
Those are super precise.
Very precise mortars, but the MTLB, every time he hears fire, just moves. And there's a bunch of Russian smoke up on this eastern bridge. I don't know if they're planning to push off, or they're going to try to use it to retreat. Not
Noble 6
sure
and
what their
Silius
plan
Goose
is over here.
moving in front of a building with Goose in it. He tags Noble 6. Silius Goose returns fire and knocks out Goose. Sherrick T is the only one in that building right now.
Oh, is Silius Goose going to win the
Silius Goose has
duel here?
won.
Oh my!
He was able to return fire on Goose after going prone and shooting at him through the fence. And now Silius Goose is stuck between what he might think is a large Russian force, and he just runs across the road. He's also hearing that MTLB off his right ear. He's going back in the building. He's going building to building again.
Well, this has been going on. The Americans, with a couple rounds of supplies that they had, have kind of built up some pretty basic but effective defenses at the castle. They have a couple defenses facing all of the ways in effectively. Kind of just a minimal amount of sandbags that's needed to protect kind of key areas and keep the Russians out.
This Russian squad over here in the west, the western apartment buildings, they have, looks like a few folks moving building to building. Maka Waka gets a kill on a U.S. soldier in the apartment building opposite the footbridge. Still a handful of U.S. over here. Some Russians trying to move out to the south. They get discovered by what seems to be this garrison building for the U.S. Looks like Sinful Groove, Lil Bump, and who else is here? CPS. They're trying to sneak around to the south here, but they've been caught out.
Yeah, and the Russians have no original command staff left standing. Everyone is down, so it's all up to FTLs at this point.
Yep, and Lil Bump is an FTL with command. So maybe Russian command com's not completely dead. Or maybe they are.
I haven't heard anything for the last couple minutes here, at least.
The entire team dies.
It's okay, Crouch.
Yeah, no. It's just there's little gaps in the wall originally. Let's just crawl anyway. Just be safe.
I'll go last.
Actually, never mind. Yeah, we're gonna crouch.
And there's still a Russian team on the east side of the river.
Alright, who's still up here?
Oh, what are they doing?
I am. I'm moving around to the
They are smoking and trying to run across the river.
Copy, squad 3, you here?
Well, they can't. The river's too deep here, and it's cold water conditions. You can't run in the water. So
I think
this just seems like a really bad idea.
I think technically there is no infantry restriction. However, this water will kill them regardless.
Yeah, no, I think they're just trying to get around the south side of the
Look at this.
island
There's
here.
a group of 4 of them. They're going to get engaged here. They have some cover fire from the rampart up here, but nah.
Nah, they're very exposed from the rampart.
Yeah, this team is these squad. They need transport. They need to go somewhere else.
Be advised, I'm sending the MTLB over to you. I'll take a file and push it.
Oh, looks like Miyamoto is still on command comms, so we got a little bit of communication here with the Russians.
The northern side of Castle.
Sounds good. Oh, there you are. 3, how many guys do you have left, Rico?
Okay, so it sounds like they're sending one of the MCLBs back across the river to pick up what remains of Squad 3 and bring them over and get them in for the fight. If I understood what the command was. It doesn't just. It seems like everything's kind of really petered out for the Russians, and they're all holed up in their separate positions, trying to figure out a way to get an edge on these Americans.
Alright, Squad 3, just a heads up again. I'm sending the MTLB over into your
So
direction.
right now,
He's
the
gonna drive you.
Americans have 20 down, so
He's
they've
gonna drive you
taken
towards
out
the
20 of the
northern entrance
Russians, whereas the
of
Russians
Castle.
have only taken out
And
18
at that point, we're
Americans.
all
So
gonna
it's
try
still
and
up
jam
about a
together. If the squad south of us
two-player
are getting in
difference,
position,
but there's still
we're
all
almost
of the
there.
defenses of the castle, which is very
Copy,
hard
yeah.
to breach, even with a full team.
We lost our guy to the
So it's
north,
kind of
so
a.
we're moving in
I
now.
don't think
Copy.
the Russians are
You
going
know
to
what,
pull
Squad
this
4,
one off
take it
unless they
easy.
do some really
My MTLB is gonna
heavy,
hold up
I don't
over
know,
there until
something
you're ready.
completely out of the box.
Uh-oh.
Copy.
Yeah, here's out of the box for you. They're gonna run. They're gonna get into the MTLB and drive it across the bridge.
Well, that's actually probably the safest way to get across the bridge for them at this point, because the MTLB can't go down unless there's any less American lats left.
I'm
And I
looking
haven't
for
looked that
American
hard at the
lats right
scareboard.
now.
Yeah,
I
think,
don't see
you
any
know,
that
two
are
of
over
them
here
have
ready
used
to
their
fire.
rockets.
Okay, we're gonna try and move a little bit more east to follow the peninsula, because moving in from the south is just super exposed.
So
Copy.
maybe the MTLB is not going to go around. The MTLB firing back on a Binox user.
And MTLB's engaging Saturn's call and his buddy over here. I don't know where his buddy went. Oh, here it is. Tarkus and Saturn's call being engaged by that MTLB across the river. I want to
Looks
say
like,
the Russians across the river have used so many smoke grenades. I don't think they have any left.
They're not going to have much of anything left. I don't think that MTLB is going to come this way. And it drives away.
And that MTLB is bugging out, and they're going to send it around south to engage from down there.
Me? No. That's two's,
I'm surprised they don't just hold that in reserve right across the river and just charge across at the right moment.
pretty much right after I got.
Because I think the
Well,
Americans
it's
are
still
out of
hanging out
mortar
over
ammo.
there. And there it goes. Now I realize it's going on the South Road. It's turning back. I think they're gonna hold it back out of view and come charging in the last second here.
Yeah, and Silent is
Because
back on those mortars, getting ready. I'm not sure where he's aiming. I think he's getting ready for some sort of an assault here.
Lil Bump is pushing through with his squad of 3 in the river here, or in the I don't know what you would call this outflow.
Oh yeah, that's a nice little area. It's pretty well deflected. There's no real good place to look down that river. And Silent has more mortars out. Looks like he has them aimed kind of to the northwest. I think he's going for that MCLB up where Squad 2 is, or at the roundabout.
Not very many people that even possibly looking this way. Maybe the squad lead that's on that roof. But
They must have seen the MCLB somehow. I guess it's the squad lead here. But it was Krusty who saw it enter that intersection.
Hey,
I don't think the US have been fooled.
Your MTLB might have eyes on the AR sitting on the rooftop from the east. He's sitting on one of the rooftops for castle itself.
Yeah, Krusty can hear that MCLB. I don't think he can see it. It's kind of like a Jurassic Park when you can hear the T-Rex footsteps. You're like, I know it's over there.
Copy, yeah, they had a few overwatches.
And
yeah, he was sitting on the roof.
that MTLB actually
I think he's moved off.
could potentially have some sight lines here on the lower part of the castle across Footbridge.
Yeah, we're just slowly making our way crawling at this point so he doesn't see us.
And I think it's just turned its engine off.
Yeah, they're kind of just waiting for this Squad 4 in the southeast to make their way up this defile.
So that's a stationary target right here. If US could get a little bit of communication going and spot this guy.
We probably should.
A little bit of a lull right now.
Yeah, and the only ops regular that we still have left up is Miyamoto, who's kind of planning this assault from the northwest side of the castle here.
The MTLB in the west turns around, heads back towards the roundabout.
I think they're just driving it in circles to drive the Americans a little crazy.
Well, it's a little bit of a distraction. Although, who knows if this AR gunner? No, Lil Bump's forces have now got to the little causeway, and they're within, relatively decent engagement distance for the forces that would be on the castle walls. But as you can see, there's really no one looking this direction from on top of the castle.
Yeah, so I guess the Russian plan here is to let Little Bump and his guys get right up to the walls of the castle. And then I think they're going to have that MTLB in the east come blitz across the road and come in and engage the castle. I'm not quite sure what the overall objective is here.
I think it's just multiple angles at simultaneous execution, which you never know. There's a lot of trades that are going to have to happen for an attacking force here, and I don't think Lil Bump has enough. So, although it looks like Miyamoto is calling for Lil Bump to lead the charge, so they're going to come up this hill. Now, who knows if anyone else is going to see them, but believe me, these two guys right here are probably going to see him first, if not that guy on the balcony.
And the Eastern MCLB is coming up, and Saturn's Call here. Pretty sure this is Saturn's Call. Yeah, Saturn's Call is going to be the first one to see it, and it's just going to make a blitz across the river.
Madness.
Right through those toll gates.
Everyone's turning now.
Copy, yeah, I was going to be going into that,
Here comes the distractions.
Room,
Little Bump is pushing in, but these two guys have not moved for probably about 30 minutes now, and they're watching that hill.
And the Russians here are dismounting. Oh, and they get engaged. Two of them go down right as they dismount. Yeah, only one Russian actually went down in that initial disengagement, and their squad 3 here is pushing in, throwing nades over the wall. They're going straight for the main stairway. The Americans have an AR just watching these main stairs. Damien has a perfect position there, staring right down, and anything that comes down is going to get in the way of his bullets.
Well, Lil Bump and his squad are trying to hop the wall. No dice.
Yeah, a couple of nades go out from the Americans to take out the Russians trying to attack this hill, or attack that nade stairway.
Okay, there's, I'd say, about a fire team coming out of the western apartments, too.
Oh, and Lil Bump spots of movement in the apartment buildings, calls out a fire team. Meanwhile, these two guys are just sitting here, covering that position.
Miyamoto, Mr. Moneyman have made it up to the walls. They're trying to work their way in there. Kind of a quick violence of action here, but I'm not sure if the Russians are going to be able to really breach the walls.
That's a rocket that went into the village. Little Bump is pushing along to the footbridge.
And these two Russians that survived from the MCLB assault just take out 2 Americans. And they're starting to clear out this upper deck as best they can.
Are you up? Are you up?
Yeah, I'm up.
Roger.
Very good amount of teamwork here. And Partisan gets another one.
There's one by the half wall, 282.
They Little Bump take one look around the corner.
Roger.
Ooh, an AR.
Moving.
Go. Shit.
The
Looks like,
Russians have... Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Looks like there's a 3-body difference right now. Russians with 23 kills, Russians with 23 kills, US have 26, so
Holy
US
shit.
in the head, US ahead by about 3 here. Still pretty close, but you know, if US was as fractured as Russia is right now, it would be a lot different story.
I have to give the Russians credit here, though. Without, they are managing to kind of pull this together. They currently have 4 people on the upper deck to the Americans' 3, if you count this guy that's halfway up on the stairs. And they're just kind of planning out their next phase of this little attack here and trying to use violence of action to get in here. And they might be able to get up real close to the American radio here in a moment.
Ooh,
Oh, and that's a mean lat that comes out. And that was Partisan again. It's a mean lat and able to just take out another American and work their way around.
oh look at this. The radio is on the ledge with it's on the porch of the castle, so they could realistically
Yeah,
just,
they could just
dig it
crawl
while
up there.
prone.
Yeah, they could crawl up there and have perfect cover, especially with those sandbags the Americans put up. No one would see it, and so they could just kind of have one guy overwatch while another
think
guy
this
digs.
I think this is Silent right here watching the corner, but I don't think he anticipates someone up north. Maybe he does.
Well, the Russians are doing at least a pretty good job here of consolidating their few
Ham
guys
Dog and
into one
Lemmywink's going to
spot.
push this corner. They're going to see Silent here in a second. Here it
I think
comes.
Lemmywinks is probably going to get hurt.
Oop.
Oh, and someone from across the way started engaging Lemmywinks.
Silent tried to take a few shots at him. That grenade goes far. Lemmywinks is definitely hit. He's still
Yeah,
not
a
down.
couple of Russians get hurt there, but they're just coming back and bandaging. And they have a medic with them.
Lemmywinks
Oh,
bleeds out.
Lemmywinks goes down. Oh, that's unfortunate. The Russian medic here is going to do quite a bit of work. Get his guys all back up to full. Get them all ready to go.
Have them use the medic's bandages right now instead of their own so they can last a little bit longer.
Yeah, and then
'Cause,
Jameson, as soon as this smoke goes down, should have a pretty clear shot on, looks like Bag of Joe and maybe even a Cyborg clone.
Hey guys, if you want, I can drive the MTLB around to the other side for distraction. You guys can storm here.
I have one more.
Looks like CPS is the only guy that survived from Low Bump Squad. And I'm looking around for anything else. There's a U.S. squad maneuvering
No
at
visibility
the
for smoke.
roundabout. They're going to the northeast of the castle. All the other U.S. forces seem to be in the castle. And I only count 7 U.S. in the castle.
And then Jameson just goes down to a headshot. That's very unfortunate. The Russian numbers are dwindling.
That's what you get for not paying attention when the
Russians really
smoke's
could
clear.
have used that smoke to their advantage. I don't think they have any, if any, smoke grenades left.
I think they're throwing a smoke right now, but they're throwing a little far.
Yeah, they
It's
threw
gone
that
all the
at
way.
this far stairway, not at this near building, so I'm not sure where that was aimed for.
I don't think it was aimed. I think it was just a YOLO throw. But little they know, there's a U.S. element that's on these rocks. In a few moments, they're going to have nice positions from the rocks.
Oh, the Russians are getting engaged by, who is that? It looks like it's Rival Helicopter and Krusty.
Yeah.
Across the way on the wall, and they're just shooting them through that orange smoke. And they also have these 2 Americans, LavTech and Cyborg, who set up to overwatch this upper courtyard.
You're alive, but anyway.
I don't think the Russians realize where the American radio actually is.
D-Leak is on these rocks. He's sort of set up. He tried to get a nice position, and I don't know if he dropped someone. There's a guy on the roof. There's a guy on the roof on top of all of them. There's a guy on the roof.
Who is this? It's Bag of Joe.
Bag of Joe gets one.
Oh, he takes one out. He takes
Gets
2.
2.
Oh,
And he
that
comes-
was a
he
good
falls back to
play by
reload.
Bag of Joe. And if he had a grenade, he could just dump it in there right now.
Oh, he's coming back for more.
Oh, Hamdog actually lays eyes on the American radio, and he's crawling right up to it. I think he's going to pull his shovel out and start digging.
He's going to get a pop as
So-
soon as that radio disappears, if there's enough headroom between
I
where
think
we
his
sat
plan
was
here
looking out
is
the
to just
window.
dig it down for Mother Russia, and then destroy the American communications equipment, and then be like, "Well, we did the mission. We died for the cause."
Oh,
and their buddy goes down.
CPS gets taken
goes
out
down.
from across.
Yeah, it's just Night Ghost and Hamdog left here. And Hamdog is furiously bashing that radio with his shovel. But one grenade by the Americans right on that radio would take out the last 2 Russians here.
If they only knew.
Well, they have to
Oh,
know
they're
that the
playing
radio's
with
going
them.
down. Someone's digging it.
Oh, they know it. Of course, you can see in the upper left-hand corner of your game, if you're, playing in the game, you get your... Oh,
Oh,
that was on the roof.
Bag of Joe takes out Hamdog, and Hamdog retaliates. That was an
Back at Joe
impressive
does
set of
several
shots
somersaults
there.
coming down.
And
Here we
Hamdog
go.
is back to it. He's smash shovel, digging its top speed. He got it!
He gets it done.
Oh, and he goes down.
Wiso hits him in the middle of that, but Hamdog, screaming, completes the mission for Russia.
Yeah, so that was a technical win for the Russians, but kind of a strategic defeat. Or I guess it was a strategic win, but a tactical defeat, because they actually got the radio down. That was very impressive. So I hope you guys enjoyed that game of Operation